Back to the round table where we talk about all the murder and deception from the Traitors episode. My name is Kevin Oliver. And by the way, I got a shield, everybody. I'm back.
The Black Death he was poisoned with could not keep him down. He is back here on Roundtable Talk. Along with me, my name is Bruce Heller.
And my name's Brett Parnell.
And this is Roundtable Talk, where we talk about the latest episode of the Traitors. Are we ready?
Yes.
It sure is. But I got a question for you guys before we get started. Can I interest anybody in the glass of wine?
Sorry. Actually, sure, I have a shield. Go ahead.
Please sponsor us, Mountain Dew. I need a Mountain Dew sponsorship deal.
If I take that from you, Brad, I might start saying some crazy stuff like I don't know, I haven't watched the Traitors or something.
Crazy stuff like Danielle is playing such a good Traitor game.
Oh no!
Hang on here. If we're gonna talk about Danielle, we're gonna I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit later, but
we will.
I kind of lie. Not in the same vein as you do, Bruce, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a little bit.
React to her, though, the next day after the episode aired, I realized my thoughts are on the more mild end.
Yeah, that's valid.
She got killed on Twitter the next day after the episode. Oh,
rightfully so. I mean, not that anyone deserves to get killed on Twitter, but
yeah.
If this was New Generation Challenge podcast and we were doing the loser of the week, I know exactly who I'd be giving it to.
Not the best. People have had worse episodes on this show for sure, but not the best episode for her.
But she's taken it all in stride.
Oh yeah, she's a really fun Twitter follow for someone who has never seen her before the Traitors.
Did you send Brett the same thing you sent me about the latest?
I might have. Let me read it for. We've referenced this for the audience that Danielle on Twitter is like tweeting Probst every day, asking him to call Vesepia
for season 50 of Survivor.
Yesterday, so on Friday, because we're recording this on Saturday, the day after the episode aired, and Twitter was saying how awful she was at being a traitor. She goes, "Hey, at Jeff Probst, I know I suck at being a traitor on the Traitors, but at least I wouldn't forget to call Vesepia.
That's great.
Very subtle.
She's incredible on Twitter.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess we're going to get into the episode.
Yeah.
We go straight to the turret.
Yes.
And it is chaos without Bob the Drag Queen. I didn't think that would happen.
Oh, by the way, while we're talking about it being without Bob the Drag Queen, I was listening to last week's episode, and I think Bruce said something along the lines of, we all thought that Bob the Drag Queen versus Rob was going to come to a head, but I don't think we did that, see it that happening that fast. Bruce, I don't know why you said that, because on the week before, me and Brett both said we thought Bob the Drag Queen was the next one banished.
Well, I thought you meant like he would be the first traitor banished.
No, I asked who's going home next week. Who's the next one banished? Who's the next one murdered? Is what I asked.
Well, here's what you're forgetting. I'm dumb.
You said it, not me.
Yeah,
I've said it before multiple times.
Yeah, I'm just making sure I don't get smoke for it.
I'll still find a way to blame you for something. Don't worry, I usually do.
I believe it. Anyway, in the turret, there is chaos. You are correct. And in my opinion, I wrote this down. Rob is being too Rob about everything.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Because Rob likes to be the boss and in charge, but when you also got a bunch of other personalities who are the same way, and you need to mesh together, or they can just stab you in the back a lot easier than they can on the Game of Survivor. But just because of the mechanics of this game, you can't be so overly commanding. We saw what happened when Bob the Drag Queen did that in at the round table. Now we're seeing what's going to happen to Boston Rob because of what he's doing in the turret, and I believe that Boston Rob is going to his downfall is coming. Maybe not as soon, not that soon, but it is coming.
Boston Rob is a cast of people who have made a living on reality television.
Absolutely,
it is not Survivor Redemption Island.
Absolutely.
Darn.
Yeah. We don't get Mount Elrod 2.0, sadly.
But shout out to Matt Elrod, because after Survivor, he went on to become a famous-ish actor.
And changed his name.
That I learned while I was watching in 2020, 2021, while I was watching through a show he was on.
Wow.
But he changed his name. What? He changed his name.
Yeah.
So,
goes by Wyatt Nash or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was like the season before he appeared. I'm like, whoa, that's coming? Cool. So, yeah. And here's something I wanted to bring up. This is my first note of the episode. Carolyn doesn't think Bob actually was intending to come for Rob, the way Rob took it. With his comment, which I kind of have mixed feelings on. I see Carolyn's point. He never said Rob by name. But he absolutely knew what he was doing by saying of the three of them, one of them's a traitor.
But that's not even what he said. He said, "I think that one of these guys should have their head have their head put on a thing because everybody thinks one of them is a traitor." But he didn't even say he thought that.
But putting that back in the air, everyone thinks one of them is a traitor, is still throwing suspicion on them.
Yeah.
I just thought it was, to me, it was just a random throwaway line in the middle of a challenge that everybody's going to forget by the time they get back to the castle.
Well, it turns out they didn't.
Well, everybody did but Rob, I think.
I think Rob took it too much of an attack, but I don't think Carolyn's putting enough into it either. I think it was kind of an offhanded, passive-aggressive thing is the way I interpreted it. Like, he's not just outright coming for him, but he knew that would throw suspicion on him.
Right, but nobody even talked about what Bob the Drag Queen said after that, except for Boston Rob.
Yeah, hence why I have mixed feelings on whether Carolyn is right or not.
For the audience, Bruce is always going to side with Boston Rob. Just expect that and accept.
Not necessarily. I was on here last week and said I thought it was a good-ish move, but I thought he might have made it too soon.
Yeah, I can see that.
I said that last week, but also the West thing wasn't near as big of a storyline this week as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's valid.
We got like
wait,
one or two scenes with that.
Hang on. You mean the West thing where he said that he was a traitor?
Yeah.
That literally got brought up like 7 times throughout the whole episode. One of them being at the round table.
It got brought up, but it wasn't West.
Ivar said to Rob, West said this about you.
And then Ivar brought it up again at the round table.
Well, okay, that's like 3 though. That's not like 7.
I think it was more times than you think, but the round table counts for like everything, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think. Ivar went to Rob and said, West said this about you. Rob went to West and talked to him about it. And then Ivar brought up the same quote from West at the round table without saying West said it.
I'm going to say that I think, Kevin, you're right that the round table means the most. But I also think that Ivar is playing such a quiet game compared to, say, a West that it makes it mean less.
That's valid.
I just was expecting that to be like a focal point of the episode this week. And it wasn't. It was a very Danielle-centered episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would have been the focal point had it backfired in Boston Rob's face, for sure.
Yeah.
But
either way, let's get on to the actual business that's in the turret. And that is the decision of who the 3 left are going to murder. And I think this says a lot about that previous discussion. Because at the end of the day, who gets their way?
Rob.
That's right.
while we're in the turret, I want to ask you about this, Brett, because I texted with Kevin about this a little bit, and he
Yeah.
kind of agreed with me and kind of disagreed with me on the same time of this equivalency. And my second note from the turret is Danielle is upset about losing her friend and getting steamrolled. Honestly, I don't feel bad for her. She just basically did the same thing to Carolyn when Carolyn wanted to keep Jeremy and she said, "No, we're killing him." He said my name.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't feel bad for Danielle at all here.
Yeah, I would
Can I
agree.
can I state my case that I gave to
By
you,
all
Bruce?
means, go right ahead.
I agree with the fact that it's sort like it's the same concept, but I don't think that it holds the same weight in Carolyn was not directly working with Jeremy as to where Danielle and Bob the Drag Queen are. Jeremy going home does not directly impact Carolyn's game in the same way that Bob the Drag Queen going home directly impacts Danielle's game.
Yeah.
That's I agree in concept, but in when we're picking it apart, I think that it's just
Yeah.
I think that
Jeremy was probably her best friend in the castle, though, is the context I was drawing.
right, but I'm drawing in. It doesn't matter who my best friend is. It matters, is my best friend going to help? But
that's the complaint Danielle was making. Was Bob was her best friend in the castle? Was her main thing?
Right, but also that had to do. Bob would not have been her best friend in the castle if Bob wasn't in the turret with her. I don't think they
Fair.
bonded the moment that they saw each other in the turret.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that it's a little more understandable Danielle to Bob versus Carolyn to Jeremy.
Yeah,
but Carolyn's
absolutely.
also just an emotional human being. So you're gonna have
my note right after this, by the way, was Danielle is planning. Her plan is to act like she's on Rob's side, and then secretly cut him. And then I wrote, "We'll see how this goes. We've already established she's a bad actress. So I feel like she's gonna blow her cover at some point."
Yeah, if it requires her to act, she's not going to be useful at all.
No.
Because her plan is to act like she's on his side to him, but really she's plotting against him.
Right.
I don't see that lasting long.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's valid. Also, just Danielle in general, she just it's a shame because the mind is there. She understands what she needs to do. I think a lot of her decisions strategically are decent, if not good, but her acting just sets her off so far in the opposite direction. It's a shame.
I don't know that I'd agree that all her decision making is good, but we'll get into that in a little bit when it comes up.
Yes, and then I will make my case in the opposition again.
We honestly didn't talk about that one that much.
A little bit.
When I co-host these shows, I really don't text with the people very much about it beforehand because I want it to be live conversation on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like last week when we knew you weren't going to be on here, I texted with you about it a lot more than when you have been on here.
Right.
All right, so we were selecting. Where were we? We were selecting who we're killing. Well,
Yep.
we know the traitors in the castle. We don't know who the traitor is in the Zoom call, but the traitors in the castle were figuring out who they wanted to kill.
Well, two of us don't have a traitor cloak, so I would guess we know who the traitor is in the Zoom call.
One of us put himself in a coffin knowing he had a shield. So
guess we'll have to wait. Hey, guess we'll have to wait until the Fire of Truth.
Yes.
That's true. Although I've heard a rumor that the end of the season might be different this year.
Really?
It's the fire of lies instead of the fire of truth.
Also, for the record, there are 11 regular episodes, not 10 this season.
Oh.
11,
So we
11
are not
episode, 11
yet
episodes.
halfway through.
Yeah.
We will
11
be halfway
episodes
through
and-
at the half an hour mark next week.
Yes.
So, selecting who they want to kill. They are on 3 different pages here.
Yes, very much so. Except Danielle and Carolyn, if they were the ones deciding, it would have not taken very long at all. Because the first name they both said together, and Rob said no.
Yeah.
And that was Sam.
Yeah.
That's right.
I did like seeing Carolyn push back against Rob, though, and finally get her, speak up a little bit for what she wanted. Because her Survivor season and Traitors so far has just kind of been her feeling steamrolled all the time. So I liked seeing her stick up to Rob and say, I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do anything. The 2 women still agreed for who Rob wanted to kill, but they at least pushed him on it, and it took a little while to get for everyone to agree.
Yeah, and if you want to, my opinion on it, I don't think they made the right kill.
I don't think there was a wrong kill in this scenario.
Yeah.
Personally, I think Robin is the wrong kill in the sense of I kind of think it was a wasted kill at this point because we're at the point where they've done 3 or 4 kills, and the first 2 were both housewives. 2 out of 4. At this point, why keep targeting the housewives when you can?
I don't know if that's a bad idea though, because it sets up 2 possibilities. One is the accurate one that everyone in the turret is CBS people. But at the same time, there's got to be this mindset out there of what if there's a housewife playing a very aggressive game?
I don't think there'd be a housewife stupid enough to kill the other 3, though.
I've heard Leah talk about the housewives quite a bit.
Huh. That's fair. I don't know. I think that taking it down to only one housewife hurts that argument more than helps it, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because saying one of these 2 people killed the other 2 is a lot easier than saying this person killed these 3 people, the only 3 people that they knew in the house. I think it makes I think it makes more sense. But
that makes sense.
We have
with that being said,
truth in the Zoom call now.
With that being said, yes, Robin Dixon was murdered. We find that out the next morning at breakfast.
My first note from breakfast is Wes is looking dapper in that suit. And I put dapper in all caps.
I have notes here. The outfits at breakfast were wild.
Rob had this velvety looking shirt that I now want.
Well, Wes, whoever thought they were going to see Wes show up in a freaking suit, for one. And 2, did anybody else see Bob Harper's sweater?
Yes.
It had plaid dogs on it.
It had what?
Plaid dogs.
I need that.
It was incredible. Just look him up on Instagram and you'll see it.
And last week we had plenty of dog references.
Yes. So. And for the viewing audience, that dog's name is Lala. It does have a cast photo. It is Alan's dog, and we do love it.
And we have established that Lala is a faithful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that is the coolest sweater.
Right? How did you miss that? How did you miss that?
I don't know. I was probably looking at my phone writing notes. But then Alan came in with his suit, and that just kind of steals the attention.
Well, Alan always steals the attention.
I love Alan. I'm. Here's what I wrote: Alan with a shiny, sparkly suit. Dot dot dot. Wow. Just it like like the light was reflecting off of it too.
Yeah, it was.
And it's like this greenish teal color that's very bright also.
Yes, it was. It was very loud.
And so, those are my breakfast notes. I don't know if you guys have any or not.
Dylan looks at Danielle and says Carolyn is all over the place. Which I think helps Carolyn.
Yeah.
If anything,
Yeah, it does.
I mean, they're still perceiving her as somebody who does not have the ability to be a good traitor.
Carolyn is just perfect for this game because of exactly that fact.
I agree, because everybody underestimates Carolyn and everything she does.
Yeah.
And I understand why, but it's their loss, I guess, because then she can just tear it up.
And the fact that her survivor journey ended the way it did, I think really helps her with being able to keep being underestimated, even though she made it to final tribal council.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
But if she goes back for 50, man, watch out.
Yeah.
Because it ain't going to hold up anymore after this.
I think we need Philip Shepard in the traitor's turret.
Oh, Lord.
The guy's a former spy. He would be able to keep his cover very well.
I do not think so.
Are you sure about this, Bruce?
I'm being sarcastic, but he was some sort of federal agent, spy, whatever, called himself the Specialist.
He was an FBI agent.
Spy nicknames his second season. So
FBI agent.
Yeah.
Get him and Coach Wade and Russell Hantz in the Traitors turret together and see what happens. Ratings are going to skyrocket. That's what happens.
Throw Q in there with them.
And then nothing's getting done. Not that anything was getting done anyway, but oh gosh, no. Keep Russell away from this show.
Bring back Johnny Bananas for that season.
Yeah, you know Lord. What? No, I'm going to scratch keep Russell away from the Traitors. I just want to see how it would go. I'm curious. He'd probably go home early, but it'd be entertaining.
And not only Johnny Bananas, but let's also throw in Johnny Fairplay while we're here.
Do we have to?
Yes, we have to.
Okay.
Fairplay's great.
Yeah, I loved him when he showed up on House of Villains.
I liked him on House of Villains. I'm not his biggest fan on Survivor, but I don't hate him on Survivor.
He was one of the players on Survivor that I'm just like, I do hate him, and that's why I like him here.
That's valid.
Yeah, I just want to see him in the Traitors Castle wearing all nothing but his dumb T-shirts he sells that say Tony Nachos and have his own mugshot on it and just that's all he wore on House of Villains was shirts from his own merch store.
Yeah, but House of Villains is a parody show.
And Johnny Bananas did the same thing with his shirts and his hats.
Just shout out, I have a signed one of Fairplay's T-shirts right behind me.
Ooh.
Nice. I wonder who's on it, guys.
I wonder.
Huh.
So after breakfast, we have this conversation with Rob and Ivar. And Ivar's kind of loose-lipped here. He's like, basically comes up to Rob and tells him word for word everything that Wes said at the end of the last episode. And said, Wes said all this about you. He says you're a traitor. And then he continues to go for him at the round table. Like, why are you making him aware that he's a target?
I want to know if you guys thought of this. Because this Ivar and Rob conversation brought me right back to episode 3, Winners at War, Rob versus Danny Boatwright.
Ivar's less messy than Danny was on Winners at War.
Yes, but it just reminded me of Rob in the exact same way of someone throwing out his name and Rob immediately being able to get that information out by force from whoever is giving him hints.
Yeah.
My mind didn't go to that, but that's fair.
I like Ivar, but I said at the beginning Ivar had big shoes to fill for the British government person role with John last season, and he's not filling that role
No.
for me yet.
He's
I still
not.
like John way better.
Mhm.
He's not filling that role at all.
He's just a different
Now,
player in person, though. He
to
just
be
seems
fair,
naturally
that
a lot quieter.
He just
even
has a
though-
cooler name. That's all he's got.
Well, he is a lot quieter, but that makes perfect sense because, to be fair, Ivar doesn't. He's the quote British government person, but he doesn't really have any official title other than being a distant relative of Queen Victoria and of King Charles. Whereas
Yeah.
John had to control Boris Johnson on one side and Jeremy Corbyn on the other for years. And if there's anyone in the audience that, like me, has a nerdy side about Commonwealth politics,
I think that's just you, Brett.
okay, fine. I figured there might be some people listening from the UK, Canada, Australia, but for the American audience, controlling Boris and Corbyn would be the American equivalent of, say, Trump and Obama in the House at the same time.
I thought Boris Johnson was the guy that narrated the original Grinch movie.
Maybe. I do not know.
Who is he?
Boris Johnson was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom during Brexit.
Definitely not the guy who narrated the Grinch movie.
I'm looking up I thought the Prime Minister of Britain during Brexit was like Theresa What's-Her-Face.
It changed a lot. It went from David Cameron to Theresa May to Boris to Liz Truss, who was Prime Minister for 2 weeks and happened in those 2 weeks to be the Prime Minister when Her Majesty the Queen passed. Fun piece of trivia. And then finally Rishi Sunak before switching over to Labour.
By the way, I looked it up. The narrator from the original animated Grinch movie, his name is Boris Karloff.
There we go.
Yep, told you it was not Boris Johnson. I was very confident in that.
But now we need Boris Johnson to narrate the Grinch.
No, we need Boris Johnson on the Traitors.
No, Trudeau's already doing that next season. We established that in our premiere.
And Biden, evidently.
Yeah,
oh,
but
no.
have to remind him that he's in Scotland once a day.
We'd have to remind him, is he a traitor or a faithful, once an hour?
While true, these aren't very nice lines we're saying about the former president.
Okay. Anyway, Ivar, he's not living up to John Burkow or Burkow, whatever his name was.
That's right.
But he does have a cooler name. That's all I got.
Yes.
Lord Ivar Mountbatten.
One of the most famous names in the history of England, because Diana was part of the Mountbatten family line.
Wild.
Interesting. I'm learning all sorts of British knowledge I didn't know.
Yep, and I'll forget it in about 5 minutes. So
about 10 minutes for me. But after Ivar and Rob have this conversation, Rob goes to Wes and says, like, hey, Ivar said you said this. And Wes is like, his thing is he wants this thought to be out there, but doesn't want it to be known it originated with him. And he's walking this tightrope of, like, not admitting he said it to Rob, but saying he heard it. And, like, he really walks this tightrope here. I thought this conversation was interesting.
And then he straight up lied.
Well, yes, but for a little while I was like, well, I heard that. I'm not sure who said it, but
and then Rob's like, "Did you say that I did whatever?" And he just said no, which is a lie.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? Tell Boston Rob? Yeah, I'm telling people that you're a traitor. That's a good way to get killed.
Matt Elrod did that when he came back from Redemption Island. He said, well,
what happened to Matt Elrod?
Matt Elrod went right back to Redemption Island.
That's what I thought.
Well, and again, stupid, but it has happened at least once in history.
Yes.
And Boston Rob won that season.
And Wes Bergman is not a stupid by any means.
No.
I am, though.
Yeah, so you'd probably tell him.
No, I wouldn't have said it to begin with, because then I know it. I'd have thought it, but if I said it, I'd have been afraid of someone telling him I said it. So it probably wouldn't have gotten out of my head.
No, you would have said it, and because half the things that come out of your mouth don't get filtered through your brain first.
Yeah, but half the stuff I think I also don't say. If I said everything I thought, that would be quite the trip.
The world would be a scary place. You are correct.
You know, the world's already a scary place. What difference does it make?
The world would be a scarier place.
Yeah.
But if Bruce said that out loud, he would make Lord Ivar pinky promise with him that he wouldn't tell him.
Spit swear. But after this, Rob goes to Carolyn, is like assuring her he won't come for her. Which Carolyn tells us this has happened multiple times since the turret, which I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is smart, though, because at the end of the day, and we've seen this from Carolyn with Jeremy's murder, is talking about like the whole survivor family. And I could see Carolyn still sticking with Rob, even if it comes down to Rob against Danielle in the future, the way it came down to Rob against Bob.
I'm not sure if I see that the same way. Carolyn seems to be very much talking in the not positively towards Boston Rob in confessional.
But she's not talking great towards Danielle either.
I think if push came to shove at this point in the episode, she would have sided with Danielle. But by the end of the episode, because of how Danielle went about things, if Rob and Danielle go head to head, she'll side with Rob now.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you.
I wasn't really thinking of this point of the episode. I was talking about after this week. So we're all on the same page.
Oh, yeah, after the episode, because of how Danielle went about things, which were almost to her plan here.
Correct. I think that the beginning of the episode and the end would have very different reactions from Carolyn.
So let's get into that since we're here now. This is where we see Danielle. She saw Rob and Carolyn together at some point talking. And she says to us in a confessional that she wants a traitor she can trust to go against Rob. She wants Rob out. She wants a different traitor in that she can trust. So she's going to get Carolyn out so they replace her with someone new. I don't get it, but okay.
I do to an extent.
Just rally the votes and try to get Rob if you want Rob out. What is the thought process of I want Rob out, so I'm going to throw suspicion on Carolyn?
Yeah.
Well, it's not necessarily I'm going to throw suspicion on Carolyn to get Rob out. She's setting her game up for later on.
Yeah.
Right? She wants to take Rob out later, but she wants the backing of two traitors doing this. And she doesn't think she can trust Carolyn to do that. So she needs to get Carolyn out so she can get a traitor that she can trust to help her get Rob out, because she knows Rob is so good at this.
Yeah.
And she needs the extra firepower.
My other note, though, is this isn't guaranteed, even if you get Carolyn out, to change anything, because new traitors are recruited by the existing traitors.
Correct.
Rob's not going to agree to pick someone that he doesn't feel comfortable will be loyal to him. And I don't know. Say no anyway. Like, this is just very risky for, I don't think, a ton of reward.
Right. I mean, I understand that.
Because, like, she wants someone that's going to absolutely ride with her against Rob, and Rob's not going to agree to recruit someone that would do that.
But is there anybody who would stick with Rob that loyal, though?
Dylan.
Maybe Dylan, but I don't think that Dylan would even accept an invite from the Traitors.
I wrote that down here, though, because I started thinking about who I'd want to see join the Traitors, and I wanted to be Dylan just to see his reaction to seeing Rob as a traitor.
Yeah, but I don't think Dylan would accept an invite.
No, because he's Peter.
The better Peter. We've already talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. which I didn't like Peter because he was coming for the people I was rooting for, but Peter was good at this game.
He was
Yeah,
good.
he was.
Bruce is just biased because of Parvati.
Yes. Absolutely. But Peter set a whole trap that what I've been told is the greatest Big Brother player strategically of all time fell for. So, shout out to Peter.
Yeah.
I didn't think he had that in him before the season.
But my point is, outside of Dylan, who's going to ride with Rob as a traitor?
You don't necessarily have to
Yeah.
ride with him until the end, but I think there are people that wouldn't want to go for him immediately the way Danielle wants.
But I think Danielle wouldn't need it to be immediately, as long as it was somebody that would eventually. But I can't even think of anybody else who would choose Rob over Danielle.
I can at least I don't think it's a well thought out plan or a good. I can at least understand her thought process here. We're about to get to the mission, and she's a big part of the mission, and I can't explain why she does anything in the mission the way that she does.
Yeah.
Nobody can.
I'm so confused.
So, rolling into the mission, I have the masked minions are back as my first note. Because they're like standing by the door when they're coming in. And then Alan's teal sparkly suit from earlier, he's now added this like crown. And I wrote he looks like the Statue of Liberty without the torch. And that was one of the things I texted to Kevin while I was watching the episode.
That's true. He did. I can confirm.
So, and before one of you explains how the mission works, quote from Tom here. Voldemort used to be called Tom Riddle. I'm channeling my inner Tom Riddle energy today. What does that even mean? Why are you channeling Voldemort here?
It's Sandoval. Just ignore it. That's all I got.
I don't hate him.
I don't hate him.
He's been entertaining.
Sure.
Like, the Bravo people hate him, but, like, you have the funny meme of him with the giant sweat stains on his shirt. You have the coffins at the stairs where Alan tells everyone to leave and Tom is just standing there staring at them. And Alan has to tell him, move along, don't dawdle. And now we have this. Like, Tom is just a fountain of meme content.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, does one of you want to explain the mission? Because I forgot to take notes.
Sure.
On how it works.
So this mission is all the players are brought to an abandoned church in Scotland where they are seated in the front pews and Alan from the pulpit is going to read a riddle. You have all the possible answers in jars in behind them. And if the players grab the correct jar, they will smash it and it will be yellow. And or I guess they said it was gold. It looked more yellow to me. That will mean if it's yellow that they get $2,500 added to the total prize pot. And the players will also get to put one name or one photo, I should say, onto the board for who's going to get a shield. It kind of works like that Office Christmas Party game where the two people who at the end have their photo on the board actually win the prize, but you can constantly replace them. So you don't necessarily want to have your photo there first. You want to get it in at the final two riddles. If you get the question wrong, Instapot will not be yellow, gold, whatever. It will be a brownish color, and that means you are out of the game and now to go sit in the back of the church, and you have no further part in this competition, either to determine who can win a shield or to answer any more riddles for any money.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great description. And so Alan goes first. Alan reads the first riddle. Bob H. goes up first to answer, and as he's going, he tells us in a confessional that he didn't listen to the riddle, but he wants to try to get a shield. So he's going first, and he gets it wrong, and he's eliminated.
And I just had a simple thing written down here. Did Bob Harper understand this mission at all?
I don't think anyone did it first because we get a confessional of Brittany about halfway through saying people are realizing you want to go last because the faces on the shield wall change, and you don't want people to go after you and change it. Like everyone seemed to realize that. Like
Well, you
halfway
want to
through.
put your picture there last. You can answer multiple riddles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the real strategy that nobody seemed to catch on to should have been taking pictures of people that you do not want to get a shield and putting them into the frame to get a shield as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Well, Derek's picture went off and then went back on, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
it did.
And then went off again at the end.
That's right.
I just got to say, though, when Bob Harper failed and started walking to the back, Alan said, "Don't talk to Bob. He's a loser."
That was great.
I thought that was
And
hilarious.
that's the second time that he used that reference this episode.
Oh, it was so
fantastic.
Funny. It was great. But yeah, this game was, I'll be honest, I didn't quite understand what was happening at first either. But Brett, if they did what you wanted them to do, Danielle would have been in a lot better position.
She would have been.
Okay, what was her strategy to what she was doing in this mission?
She was trying to look like a faithful by getting other people to trust her, but instead she was looking like a traitor because everybody took the fact of her not putting her own picture up as, oh, she feels safe because she knows she's not going to die.
Exactly. Which does not make much sense, but that's the way that the other faithfuls interpreted the competition, even if they got it wrong. So, I mean, I would probably be dead if I was on this show, but sorry, I lost the show because I was smarter than everybody else.
Yeah. For sure.
And Alan would be saying, instead of "don't talk to Brett, he's a loser," it'd be "don't talk to Brett, he's dead now."
Yeah.
He's dead now.
Lloyd Pelfrey, he's dead now.
Pelfrey's not dead, by the way.
Correct.
That's just what he used. I never had the guy's class. I've been told this multiple times, though.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Danielle goes up multiple times. By multiple, I mean like a couple, not that many. And is just putting different people's up. She puts Dolores up there. And then she takes Derek off, which really surprises Derek. Then later puts Derek back on the wall. And then it gets to the end, and I forget who the other shield was, but Derek gets pulled off of the shield wall on the last one. Roller coaster of a challenge for him.
Yep, very much a roller coaster.
He was pissed.
Yeah, he was. Which you're not really in danger anyway, but okay. He doesn't know that, I guess.
He thinks he's gonna die in the next one, so.
Yeah, he said, which is interesting. So we come back, and the first scene we get back at the
wait. We gotta tell who won the shields.
Oh, not Derek.
Dolores and somebody.
Well, that's helpful.
I got one of them.
I got one of them too, not Derek.
That's not one of them.
That's one of the knots.
Was it Chriselle?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Chriselle's a good segue because the first scene when we get back to the castle is her pulling Rob aside and asking for advice. And I don't think I've seen these two have a single conversation until this point.
So she was struggling here, man.
This was awkward. Like, I can't imagine what Rob was thinking here, but because she's decided she thinks Nikki is a traitor, But Nikki was one of her best friends in this game.
She was a fellow Bambi.
Yeah, Tony credits the Bambis for him going home. So we were both wrong. You said credit goes to Rob. I said credit goes to Bob H. Tony said it goes to the Bambis. So we were both wrong.
But Tony didn't vote for Tony to leave, so why would Tony know?
He was there and we weren't.
Yes, but that does not mean that every perceived notion is correct.
But he knows more than we do.
Does not mean he's correct, though.
I trust him more than us.
Well, that's one of us.
They also don't show us everything, though. I fully believe what Tony said online of the Bambis were putting heat on him to start things off.
Yeah, and it might have been, and it might have been right. It's just, I think that to take somebody's word without considering the fact that perceived notions are not always accurate.
No, I know. I'm just saying I trust people that were there more than myself who's just sitting at my computer.
That's valid.
I have more information than I do.
That's valid, but you kind of just dismissed what I said, so that's why I was making the argument.
Well, okay. Where were we? Oh, Chriselle and Rob.
Yes.
This was interesting. I really just, yeah. I find it interesting. Rob was who she decided to pull aside and ask for advice there.
Because he's the gamer of all gamers.
She has no relationship with him.
Does she have a relationship with any of the gamers?
Why does it have to be a gamer that you're asking for advice from, though?
To play a game. She made that very clear. You've played these games. You know how this works. This is what I see. She spelled that out for us.
Well, if you say so.
She did. It was on the TV.
Well, perceived notions are not truth.
It wasn't a perceived notion. It was a direct quote.
Direct quotes are not truth inherently.
I disagree, but okay.
Okay, what was next?
I don't know.
I just love the two of you having these random discussions.
This is all of Pit Stop Pals, by the way.
I know. I listen.
And you're here to keep us on track more than we do by ourselves.
That's true. We go all over the place.
But I'm glad to know that podcasters know more than the people that were on the show. That makes me feel better about myself.
I did not say that.
Moving on, before we can get into another argument.
I wanted to justify my comment.
Moving on, the only time that the players know more than the online crowd is in Survivor Go Wrong.
Well, maybe. I don't know. We only see a portion of what happened.
Yeah.
My next note is at the round table. Do you guys have anything else before then?
Nope. I don't think so. Nope.
So Ivar starts off the round table and says there are 3 names we're considering tonight. Nikki, Sierra, and Rob. Then tells the whole round table Wes's theory of you only are that certain if you're another traitor.
Trable?
But doesn't Wes do it this time, which is smart.
Yeah.
And then Ivar looks at Rob and says, explain your conviction. So
I think in my mind, Rob's detailed answer was pretty bad gameplay at this section.
Really?
Rob could have just as easily said exactly what triggered his disagreement with Bob and his need to do that without getting into the fact of entertaining the discussion of traitors at all. He could have said, Bob targeted me at the mission, so I came for him because I thought he might be a traitor who was going to kill me that night. And he was.
I don't know that that would have worked fine. I don't know that I dislike the answer he gave, though.
I just think it was too detailed that would lead the suspicion up there as opposed to focusing on the comment that Bob the Drag Queen made on the top of that hill.
Is this where he basically said, like, I was always suspicious of him, I just didn't say anything?
That's right.
I thought that was a good. It was good enough that after Rob gives that answer, Nikki speaks up and says she fully believes Rob is a faithful, which Ivar literally just said, "You're one of the names being considered. Why are you backing up one of the other names?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
And
bad.
look where it got Nikki at this point.
Brett,
Yeah.
with the point you were making though, was the hole already too far dug from his argument with Bob the night before to go back to such a simple answer?
I don't think so, because if we know anything about the way Boston Rob plays any of these games, if you come for him, look out. And Bob the Drag Queen came for him, maybe not in a way that everybody caught on the top of the hill, but he could certainly explain why he wanted him out, whether he was a faithful or a traitor.
Right, but did he do too much work to solidify Bob as a traitor while arguing that Bob was a traitor?
I don't necessarily think so if Rob comes from the perspective of, I just wanted to get Bob out of this game.
Okay.
Because that's the way that Rob has played in so many different Survivor seasons that it's completely believable.
And in Dondi also.
Yes. Which is Deal or No Deal Island, for those of you who didn't get the acronym.
And if you don't get the acronym, get the acronym.
Reality TV shows without a cool acronym. Artavalka.
What?
Reality TV without a cool acronym. Artavalka.
I think it's getting too late for you, Bruce.
Well, Phineas and Ferb has the organization without a cool acronym. I just put an R, a T, and a V in front of that.
Fair enough.
Artavalka instead of Alka.
Fair enough.
Of course it is. I said it.
Oh, I don't want to hear it. The only note I had from the roundtable tonight was Sam can speak.
Yeah, he has a voice apparently.
I didn't know that. I really thought he was a mute guy. He was just walking around.
And when he does like the Avoxes that the Capitol cut their tongues out, I thought he was one of those.
And not only can Sam speak, but when he does speak, he talks about a player named Brittany in the game when he is married, as the ex-husband of probably the most famous person named Brittany in the history of mankind.
Yep.
That reminds me, he has spoken before because he said something about Brittany at breakfast one time, and they're like, wait, which Brittany?
Yeah.
But yeah, Sam has a voice. That is a interesting revelation.
Yeah, blew my mind.
And this kind of comes after Nikki speaks up and says, I fully believe Rob is the faithful and defends the other target. It becomes her versus Sierra. And Chriselle speaks up very nervously. It takes her a while to get it out. But basically says she thinks Nikki's a traitor because she felt her energy change after Bob went home.
And for some reason, this basically signed her death warrant.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, everyone votes for her. Dylan votes for Gabby for some reason. I'm not really sure why.
I don't really know why the convicting statement was, you have weird energy. But, whatever.
And then after, spoiler alert, Nikki gets banished. But after Nikki gets banished, everyone's patting Chriselle on the back and either saying good job or comforting her. I'm like, she really didn't say or do anything. I get it's hard to go at someone that was that close of a friend in the game, but she really didn't come at her that hard. She just said your energy changed.
Yeah.
I'm very confused by that being so powerful. But also why Dylan voted for Gabby when the entire roundtable, other than Nikki, voted for Nikki. And then Dylan voted for Gabby.
I don't know. It's Dylan. He's Zac Efron's brother. What do we expect?
Yeah. So Nikki gets banished. Everyone confronts and compliments Chriselle and says, "Good job. You did what had to be done." Didn't really do anything, but okay. And then after Roundtable, we learn that Derek also suspects Rob now. And this is where Derek says, "If he's smart, he'll kill me tonight, or I'm coming after him." So I really don't know what happened there that convinced him so hard that.
Which is going to be really interesting to see how it plays out at the beginning of next week's episode. Because Derek just said that, but that almost means that Rob can't kill him. Because if he does, then the whole house is going to know that it was Rob.
But
he said it in confessional. The house doesn't know he said
it. Okay, I missed that.
Yeah, Derek hasn't really come out against Rob yet.
Okay, then that's good.
He told us that, but...
Yeah. So then it's going to really be interesting next week if Derek is still in the game.
I would be very shocked if Derek wasn't still in the game.
Yeah, same.
The big post roundtable scene, though, Dylan tells Carolyn that Danielle's been putting her name out the whole episode. And we talked about earlier how early in the episode, if a Rob versus Danielle war broke out, Carolyn would have sided with Danielle. Right here, when Dylan tells her this, we get a confessional where Carolyn says, "All day I've been thinking about Rob, but it's really Danielle causing all the chaos, trying to take out traitors." And so right here, this conversation with Dylan is, I think, where her allegiance in a hypothetical Rob versus Danielle switches.
I agree.
Yeah.
And Dylan, and again, Carolyn's so great, no one suspects her. Dylan, assures Carolyn, "Don't worry, I'm trying to talk Danielle down. I'm telling her you're a traitor. There's no way you are. I'm trying to tell her that. I believe you." And in all reality, she is. But I've said this before, the audience knows this, you guys. I normally don't put much stock in the previews for next week, but I caught a line from Carolyn in the preview that I wrote down from the turret, which was, "There's no one I want to murder other than you two." I can't wait for the turret next week.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna be interesting.
Because if that's what they're showing us, they're not going to show us all the best scenes.
That's right.
So the turret's about to be litty next week.
Yep.
I just used that word, didn't I?
You did.
I'm going to do that more often now.
Lord help us.
It's lit. Throwing it back to when I was in high school, and lit was how you would say things are cool.
Yep.
See, up here, it meant something totally different.
Oh, down here it used to mean weed.
Oh, here it meant drunk.
Yeah. Oh, it's meant drunk before too.
Okay.
But when I was in high school, the teenagers of the day reappropriated it and made it to mean cool.
Fair.
Hey, this party's lit,
Yeah.
But it can also mean, hey, we're getting lit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hard thing about English is that a lot of words have multiple meanings, and in America, a lot of words are also slang words for other things.
Especially when you get all of these dialects of the language in the States. That is the biggest English-speaking country in the world where nobody speaks the Queen's English.
Because our English is the best English, yo. It's lit.
Well, guys, before we wrap up here.
We're doing a show, aren't we?
Yeah, we were. Before we wrap up here, I want to know, what are our predictions? Who's getting murdered next week?
Sierra.
Okay.
I think it's just Nikki got all the votes. It's so easy. Well, no. Sorry, murdered, not banished. I'm mixing the two up. Okay, I'm going to say Sierra's getting banished.
Okay.
Nikki got all the votes. They were questioning between the two. It's just such an easy move to make. You do not want to murder Sierra, because if you do, it's an obvious clue that neither one of them is a traitor.
It would have been it would be a terrible murder. I
Yeah,
agree.
absolutely.
It'd be a terrible murder, but it would also, like, everyone thinks it's one of those two. It would throw the whole house into confusion of, oh, well, we're back at square one.
It would be. I don't think they would be back at square one though, because all the heat would be on Rob.
Well, I forgot about that.
Rule number 1 of being a traitor is never kill somebody who people have sus on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say banishment. I'll get ahead of ourselves. Is Sierra, who's getting murdered next week? I could see this being somebody totally random. Maybe, maybe someone just to throw the house off, like Eva or Bob.
Okay. What about you, Bruce?
I am also going to put the cart before the horse and predict my banishment first, and say Danielle gets banished next week.
Okay.
And I think either Chriselle or Gabby is getting killed. One of those two.
Okay.
How about you, Kevin?
All right. So I'll do the opposite and tell you that I got my murder as a.
Whoa, you're going out of order.
No, I'm going in the right order.
He's going in order. I messed up.
My murder is Sam. The girls already wanted to do that. He's somebody who's, I think, pretty much in everybody's eyes a confirmed faithful. I got a really purple edit, so I could see him just a random kill here.
Yeah.
It's not gonna tell anybody anything. My banishment is also Danielle. I think that I think a traitor is going out this week. It's either going to be Danielle or Boston Rob.
Yeah.
And I think Danielle is going to lose that battle if we put them head to head because
Carolyn.
Because of Carolyn. I agree.
Yeah. And then after that, we'll have to see who ends up entering the turret, and that's going to really shake up the game.
Yeah.
This turret and this possible Rob versus Danielle is why her wanting to go after Danielle, I think, was such a bad idea. It was based on a miscalculation. Carolyn was not as close to Rob as Danielle thought. But also, you like in this house, if you say someone's name, it's gonna get back to the person. And it did, and now you've lost her. And now you're in her target. So
yeah.
So if we get down to 2 traitors after this week, do you think we get a recruitment?
Yes.
Will they choose
but I don't know that anyone accepts.
I think there's plenty of people who would accept. I don't know if they want the people that would accept.
That's fair.
If Sam doesn't get killed or banished, recruit him. Then we'll really see if he can talk.
I kind of want to see Bob Harper become the traitor.
I still want it to be Dylan, honestly. I'm sure
there's no way that Dylan accepts.
I know. I didn't say it was realistic. I said I wanted it.
That's valid.
I still want to see if it happens. Wes Bergman become a traitor.
He would totally accept.
Oh yeah.
That'd be incredible.
And that would be fun to now see Wes and Rob on the same team, at least for like one episode.
And to see how Wes would be able to backtrack from what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh, this was fun.
It was.
And with that being said, everyone, it's bedtime. Go back to your rooms and don't get murdered.